It was 1965. The Beatles were top of the pops. An American astronaut had walked in space, and the world-famous photographer, Tony Snowdon, and his wife, Princess Margaret, were touring America.
The reaction was tremendous. When they landed, the Beatles had been there not such a long time before, and they were met by the same cheering crowds, the same volume of people lining the tops of buildings at the airport. Here you've got this pop idol couple.
Tony Snowdon was one of the most flamboyant figures of the 60s. Charming, charismatic, trend-setting, talented.
He's one of Britain's best photographers, without a doubt. Quite amazing photographs, not just the formal portraits he's well known for, but the reportage, the fashion, it's all there.
Princess Margaret was the Diana of her day.
Well, I think the whole thing was a fairy story, and fairy stories come to an end.
The Snowdons' 18-year marriage crashed to an end in 1978. Theirs was the first royal divorce for over 400 years and caused shockwaves. At the time, Tony came out on top, and Princess Margaret was blamed for the failure of the marriage and embarrassing the royal family.
It was hard because she wasn't really able to say her side of it. I think Tony had certainly been carrying on with his own life and his own friends in a way that made her humiliated.
The marriage was doomed from the start. Tony's twin obsessions of sex and work left little room for his wife's needs.
Loads of his friends have told me and described to me his great sexual appetite. In fact, one of his friends remarked to me, "If it moves, he'll have it."
Tony Snowdon made the royal family seem sexy, glamorous and modern. But complex and unconventional, he couldn't survive in Margaret's traditional world. Now, for the first time, his friends and family set the record straight about the man, his relationship with Princess Margaret, and his secret love child, born during one of the most tempestuous royal marriages of recent times. The engagement of the photographer, Anthony Armstrong-Jones, to Princess Margaret was announced on the 26th of February, 1960.
Everyone in Britain and the Commonwealth wholeheartedly wishes long years of happiness to the Princess and her fiancé.
Privately, those who knew the couple were horrified. Tony's friend, Jocelyn Stevens, sent him a telegram saying, "Never was there a more ill-fated assignment."
He knew that Tony liked the bohemian kind of life, and he was worried that their two different lives might not get on very well after a certain amount of time because they came from two such completely different backgrounds.
Tony was an upper-class rebel who'd spent his 20s pushing the boundaries of sex, race and class to the limits. Princess Margaret was the sister of the Queen, who'd grown up in a gilded cage.
She could be incredibly grand and very royal, and even, dare one say, very spoilt. But I do believe she was always a little girl looking for love.
Princess Margaret was the product of a stable family background, the adored favourite of her father, George VI. Tony was a boy from a broken home, who'd grown up feeling rejected by his beautiful mother, Anne. She'd divorced his father, Ronald Armstrong-Jones, when Tony was only 5.
For Tony, that probably was extremely difficult. Anne no longer had the time to be the devoted mother to him.
Tony's mother was image-conscious, artistic, and deeply socially ambitious. Soon after her divorce, she remarried, this time to an Irish peer, the Earl of Ross. Now the mistress of a huge castle in Ireland, she introduced Tony as her ugly son. He and his sister Susan were set aside in favour of his half-brothers, the son and heir Brendan and his brother Martin.
When they travelled on the train, Brendan would be given a little carriage all to himself, but he wasn't allowed to sit where other people sat. The whole place had to be covered with white linen sheets on the walls and on the chairs, and he would be able to sit there alone with his nurse, first class. Martin was allowed to travel second class, and Tony and Susan would travel third class.
Family members believe this rejection had a profound effect on Tony's character.
It drove an ambition in him to prove himself worthy of her love. And I think that went on all his life, right up till her death. He was very fond of her and wanted to seek her love and approval.
The other formative experience of Tony's childhood was being struck down by polio when he was 16. But even then, his mother wasn't there for him.
I'm afraid Anne, I don't think, visited him once in hospital.
Faced with the prospect of being a permanent invalid, Tony forced himself to walk again.
He was lucky to survive. He realised how lucky he was, although it seriously affected one of his legs. It actually left one of his legs slightly shorter than the other. We realised how lucky we were not to have lost a brother altogether.
As if to prove himself, Tony became super active, rowing, shooting, skiing, riding motorbikes. In 1950, he coxed the Cambridge 8 to victory in the boat race.
Polio gave Tony that added spur and ambition, passion to succeed in whatever he did, and proved that he was not just equal to other people, but better than other people.
But there's no fooling about the superiority of the men from Cambridge.
Tony's drive and determination would bring him professional success and a glittering marriage. But his constant desire for new experiences, combined with his feelings of rejection by his mother, would make him rebellious, promiscuous, and at times callous and destructive. A challenging choice for a vulnerable princess.